First we chop some onions, nice white onion, medium size. And chop it finely. Chopped onions go well with this rather than sliced onions. Take a bunch of fresh coriander, give it a good wash. Coriander typically has a bit of sand in it, so you need to remove the sand. And now give this a chop. Wow. Beautiful fresh coriander. Nothing like the smell of fresh coriander in a dish. I'll normally use some coriander to start the cooking and put it in, and I'll use some coriander at the end to garnish. I'll take about 3 to 5 green chilies. Just bought these green chilies from the Indian grocer down the road. Give the chilies a good wash and then just chop the chilies. Finely chop them. Green chilies add not only heat, but they also give it a nice aroma. Now take about medium piece of ginger and about 6 to 7 cloves of garlic. Give this a good chop. Chop it fine. I normally keep my ginger and garlic in the freezer. So peel them, freeze it up, and then take it out of the freezer as and when it's needed. Still remains fresh. Some people add a little oil to it. Some people chop it up, put some oil and freeze it. Depends on your personal preference. But ginger and garlic does remain fresh in the freezer. So give this a good chop. You can also put it in a blender if you choose to. At times I do blend my ginger and garlic, but today I'm going to chop this very fine. Now take about 2 fairly large potatoes. You can take about 3 medium potatoes. Peel the potatoes. And then once the potatoes are peeled, we're going to cube these potatoes for our lovely pork and beef mince and potato curry. Once the potatoes have been peeled, we're going to cube them. So I like to cut them in half and then cut them in quarters and cube them, and you can allow the potatoes to remain fairly big. Just cube them. As I said, you can add as many potatoes as you want, but for this amount of mince, which is about 500 grams of mince, pork mince, and about 300 grams of beef mince. This volume of potato is just sufficient for this recipe. Now, in addition to the chopped ingredients, we'll have about 4 bay leaves, 1 piece of cinnamon bark, some black pepper, whole. Today I've used Vietnamese whole pepper. Never used this before, but I'm going to give it a try. A teaspoon of turmeric, a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon and a half of coriander powder, and a teaspoon and a half of cumin powder. That's the beef mince, and that's the pork mince. As you can see, beef mince is a little bit darker than pork mince. We're going to give this a good mix. Mix the beef and the pork mince. Mix it with your hands. And there you can see the pork, the fat of the pork getting into the sinew of the beef mince. Now, I would keep this at room temperature. So allow this to stand at room temperature. In fact, any meats that you cook, preferably allow to stand at room temperature, maybe for a few hours, so that there's not a lot of water then which would come out of the meat. I don't know if you've had that experience wherein you cook meat and a lot of water comes out of it. It's because the meat is thawing in the pan. Here we go. We're going to start the preparation. Turn the flame on. Keep it on a medium flame. We're now going to add some oil to the pan. As you can see, the oil is starting to heat up. Add the onions in. Let the onion sizzle in the oil for a few minutes. Now add the chopped ginger and garlic. As you can see, the onions are turning translucent. The ginger and garlic are continuing to sizzle away in the pan. You can get a lovely smell of ginger and garlic roasting in the pan along with fried onions. Give this a good stir for about a few minutes. And now we are going to add the powders. This is the coriander and cumin powder. And I'm going to add the turmeric and the chili powder. And look at that, look at the colors. Colors are starting to darken, richen. This is what a good mince curry is about. You can see the spices may start to stick to the pan. You can add a little bit of water, reduce the heat a little bit, allow that to simmer for a minute or two. Now add the whole spices, the 3 bay leaves, piece of the cinnamon bark, some black pepper, give this a good stir. Here we have it, the base preparation of the curry is in motion, because you want to fry all these spices so that the rawness of the spices comes out, and that is the key to a good curry, is to roast the spices in a pan along with ginger, garlic, before you add a whole heap of water to allow the meat and the potatoes to soften. We're now going to add the potatoes in. We're going to stir the masala so that they get infused into the potatoes. As you can see, the consistency is starting to thicken. And now we're going to add the beef and the pork mince. Now toss the meat around in the pan for a bit. A little bit of water will come out of the meat, but still that may not be enough to prevent the meat from getting stuck to the bottom of the pan. So make sure that the meat is coated with all the spices along with the potatoes. Allow this to just simmer in the pan so that the colors of the meat start to change and they start to brown. Let this sit in the pan for a few minutes. After about 12 minutes, we're going to lift the lid and see what magic is happening underneath the lid. And wow, look at that. Potatoes starting to soften. The mince is more or less cooked. Let's see the smell. What an aroma. Ginger, garlic, cinnamon bark adds that sweetness to it. Coriander. All augurs well for a very good Sunday afternoon lunch. Pork and beef mince along with potato curry. This is almost done. Just need to check. Potatoes just about there. You don't want the potatoes to be overcooked. It's a bit of an art in cooking potatoes, so we just need it to get right. Probably give this a few more minutes. I'm going to add the fresh cut green chilies in at this point in time. Look at that color of the chilies, coriander, along with the mince. This just looks so good, and I'm sure will be extremely delicious. At this point in time, just give this a little bit of a taste and see where we are at. So good, so good. Allow this to cook along with the liquid for a few minutes. Cover the lid and we'll just allow that to cook. After allowing this to cook for a further 5 to 7 minutes, I'm going to lift the lid and see how everything is traveling. And yes, we're on track. You can see that the potatoes have softened. There you go. The oil is starting to separate from the water. This curry, I like it to be dry. I don't like the curry to be too wet, so you can toss this in the pan so that the liquid dries up. Allow this to dry up, and we had some remaining coriander, fresh coriander. I'm going to put some of that coriander in, and also going to garnish it with some garam masala. Now, garam masala can be bought at any Indian grocery. It's a mixture of a few spices, some of which we have put in whole at the beginning, which was the cinnamon and the pepper. However, as I said, I use Vietnamese pepper, and that's gone for a 6. All adds to the fun of cooking. Nothing goes according to plan. Nothing goes according to plan in a live cooking show. But nothing like good, fresh cooking. And there you have it. Beef mince, pork mince and potato curry. You can add a little more chili powder, some chili flakes if you want to spice it up a bit more and make it a bit more hot. You can add some more cut green chilies. But till next time, please subscribe to my channel, Anglo Indian Gupchup channel. See you for more exciting recipes.